So I posted on Facebook that I was looking for a group, and to my absolute delight, within an hour I got 6 replies, and had set up a game for that weekend. So the weekend rolls by, and we all get to know each other personally, and get started making characters in a world the DM previously ran that was completely homebrewed. So for our cast, we have Ron, the DM, Gary, DM's friend, who played a sorcerer, Mark, a first-time player, who created a samurai-styled fighter, Ricky, an old acquaintance of mine that created a very inappropriate bard, and me, the ranger. So at the beginning, we were told that we would roll all our stats together and can use any official books we wanted. Ricky and I decide to make our characters related, and we all spend a few hours making our characters with the DM. For our first session, he starts with us waking up in a wasteland, surrounded by bodies, all dressed in the same uniform. We quickly take shelter in an abandoned inn. While we're looking for supplies, Gary finds a sink filled with a strange glowing liquid. He touches it and is knocked out cold. In character, we really didn't know Gary, so Ricky and I just move his lifeless body out of the way and keep looking for supplies. Suddenly, we notice a strange person standing outside. My character, being the protective kind of ranger that she is, heads out to investigate and is one shot knocked out without warning. We have no armors and items at this moment. Gary suddenly jumps up and tells us we have to leave. They grab my body and drag me off into the forest, while Ricky starts making inappropriate jokes about my character, which, by the way, is his in-character's sister, and of course, this happens constantly. We eventually find our way to the military camp and are given equipment to get us to the next town. So we head off and encounter bandits, and we all roll terribly. So 3 of our horses die. Mark and I are at 1 HP. Ricky is down to 1 spell slot and is injured. Gary is perfectly fine and still has all his spell slots. Gary says we should track down the bandits' base. We all agree, but Mark and I say we should rest up first. Gary refuses to listen and decides that he's just going to do it by himself. Mark and I sit down to have a short rest, and Ricky uses his last spell slot to heal himself, while he spends the rest of the short rest telling us that we shouldn't be resting. During this time, Gary gets caught and attacked by the bandits, and obviously gets knocked out. The rest of us eventually arrive. Mark and I move into ambushing positions with bow and arrows. Ricky walks up to try to persuade the bandits to give us Gary back. They draw their blades, so I attack first to try to save Ricky. We are then told that there are more bandits that we didn't see. We are overwhelmed and we all go down. Gary decides to use his God Point, an ability that none of us apparently knew about, but we all had one but were never told about, and used it to basically Kamehameha wave the bandits, killing them all, and somehow also stabilizing all of us. We continue our journey to the town. Mark and I don't trust Gary because we didn't see him as he was bound inside a wagon when we arrived, and when we woke up from being unconscious in the burned down forest, he claims to save us all and we owe him one. We arrive at a town and decide to take a ship to the capital. Ricky tries to persuade the captain to give us free passage, but in his role-playing, he is immensely condescending and rude, but he says that he rolled a 24 persuasion, so we should get the boat free. The DM decides to tell us now that role-playing is what matters, not the dice, which basically makes our bard pretty useless, even given all his great stats. As such, the captain turns us away, but immediately a second person says we can get on their boat free as long as they get us to listen to a job proposition. As it is an attractive woman, Gary and Ricky both start flirting with her and almost cost us the job because they demand 50,000 gold each. We were level 2. I attempt to talk to the woman and she gives us the job at the price that I ask for. A boat, a crew, and no gold, as I hate cities and I wanted to use the boat for each of us to reach our goals. This was an odd situation seeing as Ricky and Gary had 18 charisma and I had 6. But apparently I became the talker for the party since their characters were too inappropriate and rude. This caused huge problems as they wanted money and nothing else. Arriving in the capital, we get to work, and the session ends. I missed the next session, but during that time, they did some detective work around the town, made some good money, and then spent all of it immediately. We have a chat group where we talk during session roleplaying. My character learns about what they did and calls them children for spending all the money. Ricky literally says that he will give me 50 gold pieces to do inappropriate acts. Remember, my character is still his sister. So my ranger left the party and I made a new character. Only Mark actually tried to keep me in the party. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the DM and I were arguing because I used the revised ranger and he didn't want me to use it, and it led to more and more problems to the point I was told which subclass to take. So I decided to make a warlock next. DM agrees, then at the session tells me that he doesn't allow warlocks, druids, paladins, or clerics because in his world there are no gods and wizards don't exist because no one would teach anyone else magic. I say, okay, I'll make another character after the session. Gary misses the session and we are TPK'd, and so we all had to make new characters, except Gary. Mark has to leave due to some personal issues, and so my fiance joins at this point, and things start to get weirder. So many red flags. Stats don't matter anymore, God point Kamehameha waves, constant knockouts. Homebrew is not for everybody. What do you all think about this situation?